EP.6.
Welcome. How good's this? How good's this?
How good's
Welcome,
this?
Alan.
It's
We've been
very-
chatting for a little while.
It's very good.
This is an episode with our best pals, Caleb and Karli Ingersol. You guys got? You know how to beatbox? Can you
Check.
Can you drop one real quick?
Caleb's a drummer, so I feel like he could
I can play drums.
He probably can.
he
He's
could
just-
probably make some mouth sounds that sound like drums.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he can.
Yeah. But
He
can.
has a
Ooh, dude.
Yeah.
Is that a symbol? All right. And we're live. The Ingersols, Karli and Cable. Karli and Caleb, how in the world are you?
good.
Great. Yeah. It's good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
God, your hair is so tight, Karli.
Thank you. It is
Aw.
nice.
Thank you.
I'm like constantly just peeved about the way.
Whatever, we have like the
you can
same
get curls
hair.
like this.
Nah, dude. So I've just always when my hair's short like Karli's, it is just straight.
Really?
Yeah,
So
it's-
it has to get longer to get curly?
Yeah, it kind of gets long at the ends.
See, mine's opposite. The shorter it is, the curlier, and as it gets longer, it's just kind of weighed down and not as curly.
Caleb and I are just sitting across this looking at each other like, oh, we don't have cool hair like these guys.
I play drums.
Yeah.
I play drums.
Jeez, why don't you talk about your hair a little more? Your two-piece suit that's matching. It's pretty cool, dude.
So to give a little background
Those
about
pinstripes?
our guests
Seersucker, I
today,
think.
Caleb and Karli, you guys are what I would call like the closest thing to like local tastemakers that Spokane kind of embodies. I always look to you guys for what is hip and what is what I should be on the nose, because I'm just like kind of a jaded old man now. You know, I don't just really discover any new music. I'm still listening to like Sting's greatest hits record that I got in middle school.
Yeah, no, that's good.
You guys, I'm not positive what year it was. What year would it have been that you guys came into ownership of the Bartlett?
2013.
So 2013, Caleb and Karli did an amazing thing, an incredibly brave, potentially, as they reveal in the following conversation, crazy.
Stupid.
Stupid.
No, I'm just kidding.
Those are your words, not mine. But you opened a venue. You opened a music venue in town in Spokane called the Bartlett, and then just recently you upgraded. You went from the Toyota Prius to the Toyota Highlander of music venues, and you opened up a 450?
300.
300.
The Bartlett may have been more like the Hyundai Sonata. Like, it's supposed to perform well, but then the engine just stops working.
That really happened to us.
Yeah, jeez.
So to bring it back to center, you guys opened the Hyundai Sonata of venues, and now you've upgraded to the Hyundai Genesis.
No, I think
I don't think I want it to be a Hyundai anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to switch
changing
brands?
yeah,
It
we
will
want
go
to
to the
upgrade to a
Toyota.
better brand of car.
New make. What's the make?
What brand would you like to upgrade to? In my synopsis of your,
I think the Toyota one originally was fine.
yeah. Okay, so the Toyota
Toyota Highlander sounds great.
great rigs.
So is Lucky You. It's a great rig.
It
It's
is a great
spot.
rig. Just recently, Caleb, you've done a ton of work in Lucky You, because I'm not sure if any of the listeners are aware, but we are currently in the middle of a pandemic.
What?
Yep. Some places have relaxed a little bit. Other places have
And
not.
pan means
Pan is like several, I think.
Okay.
Like more than one.
Yeah.
several demics.
Is there a unodemic?
Wow, this is going to be a tough pod.
Monodemic?
Several demics.
Okay, Caleb.
We are in the middle of a several demic, and the business, every business, I think is not every business. Amazon seems to be doing great,
Yeah, they're crushing it.
but a good amount of businesses, i.e., any business that requires human bodies to be in one singular place at the same time, i.e., musical concerts, restaurants, ear quotes, venues, Hyundai Sonatas. How are you guys feeling? Have you landed on your feet? What has been like the, what's the situation? Fill us in.
Well, we can't do any events, basically. So no shows.
No entertainment.
No
Live
entertainment.
entertainment is banned in Washington right now. Because you're not supposed to do anything that would draw a crowd, so you can't have a DJ or any. I don't even think busking is allowed right now.
I can't even go in and perform tricks for people.
I went in the other day to
like
get
card tricks at the table while
Any
people are
kind of
having a
tricks.
chicken sandwich.
Definitely not okay.
Like swapping their food. Like, oh, I know you ordered a chicken sandwich, but here's
Just
a burger.
Reach into my pocket.
Yeah, I went in yesterday to get myself a chicken Sammy, which is
Yum.
Okay.
probably one of the best chicken sandwiches I've ever had in my
So
life.
good.
Just so everybody that's listening knows. But it was interesting because when I was there the first time, it was such a bigger space because of the venue portion
Right.
of the space, and now it's just a functional restaurant. It seems like so. I imagine your intention when you opened that place up was for the purpose of music mostly and food secondary, or was that? Is that
Yeah,
not
well,
right?
we kind of got stuck in that zone. Like, we got this building, and it had a kitchen in it. Our original plan wasn't to do any food at all, but it had a kitchen, so we were like, well, we should probably utilize that and figure out how to make it work. And then we ended up hiring a really amazing chef. So then it turned the food program into something that was like, okay, we could actually do something with this. But then we struggled
Shout out
with...
to Josh Grimes.
Yeah. Then we struggled with marrying that concept with the open room venue concept. It never worked super well. So to be honest, now separating those two spaces, I think even for the future is going to be much more beneficial for the business as a whole, because the restaurant will just function the same way all the time and not be dependent on what kind of show is happening or event.
And
Yeah.
that's what we did when we closed. We built a wall between the space and redid the patio. And
Because we kind of realized, like, in Spokane, that type of room that's so big and open, you can't fill it enough for it to make sense being that way. I think if you were in a bigger city, that could work better, but we just don't have the population to make it make sense.
Right, yeah. Or as a venue in a smaller city, is it? Do you think that the population? I mean, obviously the population is connected to the amount of people that you're going to get through the doors. But is it? I've always wondered if there's not enough of a medium for people to learn about shows that are happening at Lucky You, or learn about cool music coming through town, or like there's no KEXP in town, there's no Mahogany sessions, like all these kind of music tastemaker blogs.
the Inlander does a pretty good job of. They have a this week's events section that's only music.
Yeah.
And so that I think people who are kind of consuming live music go to that resource, and it's pretty well updated and pretty current, which is nice.
We had more of that issue when we first started the Bartlett, but people have kind of, at this point, grabbed onto the idea that there are cool shows coming through town, so they follow us to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tastemakers.
The tasteman. That's what I called them at the top of the show. Me and Steve on the same wavelength. Jules, why don't you catch up?
Tastemakers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pound it.
It's coming in late, but it still counts.
Well, and then I think once you establish that audience for a certain kind of corner of the live music world that we've tried to establish, people know to, like, Facebook events. It's like the people who still are on Facebook, they follow us on our event feed. And so that's like a really easy way to know exactly what's happening.
Where do you guys land on? Sorry to bring the topic totally southwest of where we're supposed to be, but what's your take on Facebook there, Caleb? Are you in it to win it, or are you out of? You just throw it away?
I wish I could throw it away. But you can't when you have to run a business page.
That's
have
true.
to keep your
Yeah, you
Facebook.
have to keep it.
As a business, where do you find the most readily available connection with your clientele? Is via social media? Is it Facebook or is it
Instagram.
really the gram is where it's at?
For sure.
Different audiences, though. I think we still have quite a few people connected to our Facebook that engage with that. It's just maybe a different age demographic.
Yeah, me personally, I find the grammars are the more like appetizers of the meal, and that the Facebook people are the entree. Like the Facebook people, I feel like you can actually give them
What is this?
What are you talking
I
about?
don't get it.
Just let me go.
Go ahead. What's dessert?
Let me go.
Okay.
Dessert? Oh, dessert.
I think this could be a
Twitter.
marketing platform that you could promote.
Yeah.
What you're saying maybe is that, and I think I agree, is that Facebook is people are or maybe like spending more time on.
Or they're just activating within Facebook. Like it seems, right? There's nothing I can do on Facebook that's going to feed my family, right? Like typically I'm utilizing Facebook to sell something else. I'm going to sell tickets to a show. I'm going to sell a meal, right? But you can't sell that on Facebook. You have to like send them to a different platform
Right.
in order to do so.
Well, I mean, at least with Eventbrite, which is the ticket platform that we used, they had just upgraded a year or so ago to where you just press one button
It's so
and you bought a
slick.
ticket on
On Facebook Invite.
It's so
Yeah,
easy. It's
nice.
almost too easy.
I will say that Facebook, when we do a show announcement with a Facebook event, the response we get from that event is very telling to how successful that show is going to be.
See,
Yeah.
there you go. So that's what I'm saying.
And people don't like to be promoted to as much on Instagram. So it's like they like to be connected and stay in the loop. But they don't want you to, like, we can't really post a whole lot of, like, about live music on Instagram where I could post, like, 5 times a day on Facebook. And, like, people are just more willing to click out, you know, because Facebook, you have more opportunities to link to stuff or tickets or whatever, where Instagram's more just like, you're looking at this and then you're looking at the next thing.
Right.
Is this really interesting?
Not at all. I haven't paid attention to one thing you guys have said since we started.
Listen, I don't think it matters. Okay, so you started a venue in 2013. Caleb, you described earlier that you are a beatboxer, and so you came.
That was my main profession before opening this venue.
Okay, so you were a drummer. Like, how did you come through to be involved in music?
Life story, go.
Life story. Okay, here it is. Born.
Nice.
Monty and Susie.
So my dad was a singer growing up, and he was a Christian touring artist. So he would tour around the Northwest, performing at different events and churches, and so I just grew up in the world of music and studios and.
He had a studio, right? And he made jingles too. He did.
Him and
had
his
a jingle
brother
business.
they had a jingle business.
Would we-
Oh, no
in
way.
Tri-Cities.
Would we recognize any of his?
Yeah, can you sing
famous
some?
jingles?
There was like they had one that was like, "Let's go for Lincoln Mercury," but it was like a
Oh.
rip-off of
Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond, and they got sued for
Oh,
it.
way.
no. Cease
By
and, I think
Neil?
they got cease and desist.
Yeah, cease
I
and
think that's
desist.
take it
From
down.
Neil?
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude, how
Sweet.
man?
So-
you got a lot of time on your hands in order to be checking.
Don't they have like staff lawyers specifically to do that?
Probably.
I mean, I don't know.
Do you have one? Do you
I have a
one?
lawyer, yeah, but I guarantee
They
he's
don't
not
just go
checking
around like
Salem,
making sure
Oregon.
people aren't.
He ain't checking Salem, Oregon radio waves to see if Caleb's dad is ripping off the high part of Unaware.
Maybe that's where you're losing revenue.
Yeah.
You could be making some serious cash, dude.
Yeah.
Oh
okay,
my
I'm sorry.
God.
Caleb,
Now-
keep going.
Yes, sorry, Caleb. Go.
And then let's see. So I started playing. I started in choir, 5th grade. Similar time, I started playing drums. My dad was a drummer also. He had a family band when he was a kid, and then I started playing at our church, doing like worship band stuff, and then started a band with my brother called Crayon Apple Latte.
Oh, delightful.
Yes.
I'd like one of those right now. Bartender.
So we were
Cran
like the
apple latte.
hot like youth group band in town. So we'd play
Cute.
like all the cool youth group events.
Now, did you play drums and sing at the same time, Don Henley styles?
Yes.
Yes,
No
dude.
way.
Oh, you sang too? I
Not
didn't
lead,
know that.
obviously, but there was
Backup
some
harmonies.
BGVs in there.
I think that's the coolest
Very
thing
cool.
anybody
Listen,
can
we got a kit here in the studio, and
Yeah.
I'm going to need to see evidence of this because I am aroused.
Me too.
I love a singer and a drummer at the same
the
time.
best.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see.
Okay.
And then I don't know. Just kept playing drums, doing choir. I played trombone in junior high,
It's an
which was
interesting
very
turn.
cool.
Like before it all.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Why
then
don't you stick? Can you still play if we gave you one?
I could do one of those like, you know, that thing.
Uh-huh.
That's about it.
You know, coincidentally enough, I've attempted to try and pick up several horns in my life. Impossible to play.
So difficult.
So to even make a sound is so hard. You ever done that, Jules?
It's all about the embouchure.
I always kind of wish I had done some training on like a woodwind or a brass instrument at a younger age because I feel like it'd make me a better singer. Like with breath
totally.
work and stuff because the same thing every time I've tried. My mom played clarinet and so my brother would and I would get her clarinet out and try to play it and I would just be like gasping.
Are horns instruments that you guys don't know how to play but wish you could the most out of all the instruments?
No.
Can anybody here play a horn instrument? Steve, can you play a horn?
Of course.
Come on. Which
Shut
one?
up. You can't play no horn.
That's how you play the trumpet.
Nice.
He's right.
I don't know if a horn
hold
would be
on,
my
hold on.
choice.
Hold on. Do that note again. Do that note again. E flat.
Nice.
I always wanted to play cello growing
That
up.
sounds like a bugle
Really?
player to me.
But then once you play guitar, I feel like going to fretless is really hard. And I would just be
bet.
annoyed or impatient.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Having the notes kind of spelled out for you, just all you have to do is
Right.
put your finger there
On the right
versus-
spot, yeah, versus like sliding around, which could be cool too. I don't know.
I wish I could play the drums. That would be the one. That would be the one instrument that I wish I could just sit down and kill. I do feel because essentially every instrument, really at the end, what James Brown always said. Or I mean, I guess I'm just watching his biopic, right? He's in rehearsal. He's like, "What? What instrument is that?" I think guy's got a guitar on. He's like, "Yeah, it's a guitar. It's a drum." You know, like he said, everybody plays a drum, right? Like it's all rhythm,
Yeah,
Right.
rhythm.
and it's just you're just playing notes. In
I bet
those
you could
rhythms.
pick up drums. Have you ever tried?
Yeah, but the drums have to sit in the back, and I'm a narcissist, and I want to be up front.
Well, and also
Very
the drummers you tend to play with are really good.
Yeah, I have.
So
There's
that's
so
like,
many qualified
course.
humans to play that role. that
I'm not
like,
saying you would do it for your like main act, like Alan
But I
Stone
could see
now
how
plays
that could
drums in
feel
his own band.
that could feel really depressing to be like, I could play a beat, but then that guy's doing that, and I'll never get there.
I'm sure if you
Is that
put
how you
together
feel?
an album where you just played drums a little bit and sang on top of it, money.
I don't know. We could
I
see.
listen to it, just drums
Simple.
in your voice.
Maybe some Steve Horn
Steve
mouth
Horn.
section.
Yeah, a little Steve Bugle, the E flat over the top of that. I don't know. The drums is always. I mean, I think the most versatile instrument, specifically with like digital production now, is the keyboard. If you can play a keyboard really well, you can play every instrument.
Yeah.
Just because of virtual instruments nowadays, like a drum, you're not going to hook into a MIDI pad and like play a horn section,
Right.
Or same with the guitar. But man, if you can rip the keyboards, then you're kind of set in the production world.
Well, and the keyboard is known as a percussion instrument in like symphony
Right.
orchestra, so it's both. It's like melodic and percussion.
Classical piano was always mine. That's what I always wished I could do.
Really?
Yeah.
Who are your favorite classical pianists?
There's just a few Chopin tunes that every time I hear it, I'm like, I would love to just be able to sit at a piano and just play that.
Yeah. how
Would
cool.
you? I feel like you would be the guy, Caleb. Like when all the families are walking through Nordstrom, being like, "I can't believe we gotta go to Lady Foot Locker again. I was just in there last week. We gotta resize the shoe." Like, you would be the homie who just be like walking around, like, "No big deal, no big deal." Sit down at the grand piano that they got
Yes.
there. Throw down some Chopin, but only do half of it. You don't do the whole thing. You do just enough of it to get a crowd, and then be like, "Oh, just that whole thing,"
just
and then
messing
walk
around.
off. That'd be hardcore.
Maybe that should be your life goal, is to do that.
Okay, sure.
I mean,
I don't
think
see a problem with that.
to kind of play off Karli's situation. I mean, like maybe have several life goals. Like, don't make that the only one.
Okay.
Because, like, what if you accomplish it pretty quickly and then...
It's like,
Then what?
it's over.
You just walk into Nordy's, play a couple tunes.
I don't think you can learn how to
well,
play Chopin pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a
Just
difference
half of it,
between,
though.
like...
That's all you gotta
right,
do.
Sure,
like,
sure.
if you're just learning to play a song versus learning how to play piano...
Well, yeah,
That's true.
fair.
That's true. It's like there's a lot of people who can just kick the shit out of some. What's that, Guitar Hero? Is it Guitar Hero? Oh, they can just murder that game, but you give them a real guitar,
Right.
and it's like, it's obviously they're completely different instruments, but I bet if you just learned, I don't know. My money is you couldn't learn it.
Great.
Well, you're a drummer, so this is coming from, I took like 9 years of classical piano, but like really hardcore, like Suzuki method, where it's like all about technique, and like the first year you don't really like play a song. You like just like learn how to work your fingers the right way.
Oh, wow.
And it's all ear based up front, but that's just my perspective, is like it's that method of training is very slow moving, so you wouldn't ever jump into a really like advanced piece and just try to figure out how to learn it. But you're a drummer, so you know how you're like using both feet and hands at different times, you know, so the rhythm of it would probably be easier for you.
So when did you start playing classical piano, Karli?
I was probably 8.
Did you notice that as you grew, that like you had to grow in, obviously as your hands are growing, the real estate that you can reach is growing. Did that just come naturally as you were getting bigger? Like literally your size, like you could stretch farther, or was it like young kids playing basketball?
Yeah.
You see the young kids who are in high school who are just way too tall. They were like, I didn't think that I'd have to dribble this far, And they the coordination is not there. They haven't really like grown into their body.
Yeah.
Does the same thing happen with piano?
I'm sure it's like, I mean, I guess I can't really recall that, but I think as you learn technique, you are also learning more advanced material. So it kind of is, I guess my hands have always been not very big, so.
Oh, okay.
Now, did you guys meet through music?
Yeah, so fast forward to I worked at a like coffee shop venue in high school, which got me into like the side of like the venue and like helping out with like booking shows and like doing sound and all that stuff. And so then I ended up going to school for recording, and then my dad planted a church in Tri-Cities, Washington, and they were meeting in this like old casino building. So half of it was where the church met, and then half of it was like a multi-purpose room with this big like wraparound bar thing that we made a coffee shop. So I convinced my dad for the church to just pay for bands to come in and play on the weekends.
And buy a huge sound system.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so I just started booking bands every weekend to come and play. And some of them were Northwest bands, but some of them were like national touring bands coming through. We had like Josh Ritter came, My Brightest Diamond played, like Delta Spirit.
Toro y Moi.
We got some pretty cool bands to come through. I mean, not a lot of people would come to these shows, but
How many people could you fit in said room?
it was like a 300 capacity
way.
space.
Carpeted.
It was very cool. It had
Very
like that
cool.
cool casino carpet.
Yes, that you see the leftover carpet from like Reno.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Downtown, the Davenport Hotel, the new one,
Yes.
has that same type. It's like, bro, which casino died? And you bought their carpet.
No.
So you started owning a venue.
Yeah.
And then you just were like, I'm going to make an adult choice and open another one.
Well, so Karli at that time was touring as a singer-songwriter. And so I booked her to play a show. And
On the pretense of just she had good music, or you were like, this girl looks like a cutie.
Yeah, be
you know?
honest.
Be honest now, Caleb.
You know, at that time I had a girlfriend, so
So
I thought she
Be
was okay for sure. But also her music was fantastic,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was a win-win
yeah, totally.
for everyone. I mean, she got to
He
meet
found me on
she got to meet
MySpace.
me, so
On
that was a
MySpace.
win.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, throwback.
I had a lot of friends on MySpace. I had like thousands of friends.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You were one of the people that was like killing it on the game.
I was, yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I was like, she's got pretty good stats. Like,
Yeah.
That's promoter speak, just in case anyone.
Yeah, MySpace
Dude,
stats.
I remember MySpace days when you would like produce a new tune, and then you could only have 5 songs at a time on the
Right.
player, so you'd have to get rid of one.
But
Right.
then you would lose the stats on that one.
Lose the
song and be
stats
like,
on it. Like I just want to switch the file. Why can't I do? I don't. I want to keep the same stats.
It wasn't about followers back then as it was about like views, right?
Plays
Plays,
on
yeah.
the song, and having it was friends.
It was friends?
People would have to accept because you had to be friends.
Ah.
So they would have to request friendship.
And you were doing pretty
or
well.
like Brett Height.
I remember
You
Brett.
guys
Hyde.
know
Shout
Brett.
out.
Dude,
Shout
shout
out
out
to
Brad.
What's
Handsomest
up,
boy,
Brett?
handsomest boy in Spokane
Handsomest
music scene
Pacific
of all time.
Northwester.
Makes
So I
me
met
insecure.
Brett at the Old Empyrean during my singer-songwriter touring days, and MySpace was all I had. Like I
Yeah.
booked all my shows through MySpace. I promoted my music through MySpace. Like it was everything. And so we were like talking about MySpace because he was like doing the thing, playing at the sororities and WSU and stuff. And,
Getting girls to swoon over him daily.
and he was like, oh, you got to check out this thing. I honestly can't remember what it was called, but it was like this like software that you download to your computer
Oh, yeah.
and connect your MySpace, and it
Oh,
would
yeah.
like get fake friends. You could do like 1,000 new friends a day, or request 100 new friends a day. It would automatically do it for you.
yeah.
And I don't know if it like faked your plays or something too, but I was like, whoa, that's so cool.
I totally did that with my high school band's MySpace.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What?
Do you think? I mean,
bot,
those.
bot
Yeah, it's
plays?
essentially like a bot. Like
Yeah.
You would you would think that still happens, right?
I'm sure,
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
it?
For
Do you
sure.
think that Spotify has that?
I mean, I can't. I don't know.
I've never thought of that.
Well,
No
is there-
idea. I never saw the point of it. My thought was like, I don't know if anybody's. If you get a gig based upon your stats and then you go play somewhere and you don't bring
It's
hard
not
bodies
helpful.
into
No,
the, you
it's
just
not helpful.
You as a promoter. Now, granted, I'm not in your guys' seat, but if I booked somebody based upon the numbers that they had on the internet, and then you brought them to your venue and they sold 3 tickets.
Although that happens too, especially in
Yeah, totally.
Spokane, because it's an enigmatic area where like certain bands do match their stats, and then other ones have great stats or like up and coming. They're getting all of this attention, and then like no one here knows. I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
so
wonder
weird.
what that's like.
I've booked people on tours
Yeah.
where I have them open for me, and same thing, like, because in reality, the only basis that you currently have as to whether or not somebody can sell a ticket is who is how many people are how many impressions are they making online, and they can't sell a ticket.
Well, it's really about the engagement because it's like, are they a playlist artist,
Right.
or are they are fans actually following them?
Playlist
as an
artists are
artist?
not real. I mean,
Because
they're
I get
real,
those bookings too, where it's like the agent tries to really sell this guy. It's like he's got 3 million plays on this one song, but then he has like 2,000 Facebook likes, and it just doesn't
connect.
it doesn't connect. Which means that like they're getting on these playlists.
So people are hearing the music, but they don't know the name of the band. They're not following the band. They're just, if the song came on, they'd be like, oh, I've heard this before.
Right.
But they wouldn't actually know.
God, that must be so. How has that evolution been and that science been as a promoter? Because I really only deal with it as a touring musician for acts that I would bring on, like the road, or I would like.
Well, and for your own music, too, a certain degree. Like paying it, or do you not worry about those things?
No, I only worry about ticket sales.
Yeah.
Like I don't worry about record sales anymore. I don't worry about like charting.
Do you worry about the quality of the performer that you're bringing on?
Yes, for sure. I worry about quality of the performer and can they sell tickets.
Yeah.
And because that's the only, to me, that's the only number before COVID came along and farted in my mailbox.
That's a bummer opening of the mailbox right there.
It's worse, dude. What happened in here? Before COVID came along and squatted in my
Just doing
FedEx
another one.
box. I was trying to, that one wasn't as good.
Stick with the original.
I'll edit it out.
That was the only tangible number that seemed to mean anything to me. If you go to a market and you don't sell any tickets, it's horrible. Like if you're the name on the marquee, I've never been so embarrassed in my life than to like take a check from a promoter when there was nobody in the venue.
Dude.
Versus
Yeah.
like if you release a song on Spotify and nobody listens to it, it just goes to the ether. It's just on some like hardware farm out in the middle of Nevada, and nobody cares about that 1 and 0 anymore. It just disappears. Whereas like if there's tangible human
So
being.
interesting, because so many artists, I feel like, are the opposite. I mean, obviously ticket sales are huge, but I think a lot of people, when they release new music, if it doesn't get traction.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Like, it's
Yeah.
not fun to create an entire album and then it'd be like, Jules, you go and you do you write a whole script and you produce the movie from top to bottom, and you hire actors and lighting grips, and you get in catering. You got catering, and you got Tillamook singles, not Kraft singles, bro. You spent that money.
Yeah.
And then you release the movie, and like it gets 150 views on YouTube.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
obviously that's
Obviously, yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah.
But
Ticket sales are floating the boat, though.
well, that's just because that was my revenue stream, I guess. Like if I was
Right.
making legitimate money from streaming, then I think it might be different. But
Which maybe you could if it wasn't so messed up.
But maybe that's also why you do. I mean, your last tour was sold well in every market, didn't it?
let me think back. There was probably a few Ohios in there that didn't really work out.
But what is that like?
You,
What's the
Ohio.
percentage of those rooms that aren't sold? Like, I mean,
I don't
it's
know,
not
Steve.
Like,
You could answer this a little bit better than me because you haven't blown all of your brain cells out.
I'm
like
just trying
I
to
have.
think like practically, because I know you sometimes you're very critical and like have very high standards. You want every room sold out, which totally makes sense. Like that's the highest bar. But like
I don't think I don't remember any show being undersold. Do you, Steve?
No, we sold out a lot of the shows.
Yeah.
That tour and the previous tour were the highest selling tickets.
But it's just so interesting. I'm not going to name the band, but I have a good friend in a band that is they're like Spotify darlings, like they get really good streams, and their last couple tours didn't match the sales. So I think there's a kind of a disconnect with a lot of bands.
I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I think that you have to go out and pound the pavement as a
Right.
musician and prove to an audience that every time you come through town, it's going to be fun and it's going to be a
Totally.
good show and it's going to be exciting for them to pay money to.
So do you think that there's something? Sorry, I feel like
No.
I'm taking over
No,
this
please
interview,
do.
but
Good.
Please do. Julian doesn't ask me these questions. He's just like, why is my relationship all messed up?
Sure. We can talk about that too if we want.
I'm sorry.
Stop apologizing.
I feel bad. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I think your last album did incredible. Like, I don't know if the stats measured up to
Talk
what
to
you
my
wanted.
label rep.
Yeah, sure.
Different story.
Yeah, but it's never good enough for management or labels
Seriously.
or whatever.
Music industry
Because they
people
still
suck.
think that it works the way it worked 30 years ago.
I don't.
Okay, but I want to go back to my question
Okay,
before I
sorry.
forget it. So it's like I mean, and we're talking like the rooms you were on your last tour were like over 500 cap mostly.
Most of them were about 15,000. Would you say, Steve?
About 15.
About
20,
15,000.
yeah.
No, I think the average was like 1,000.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. Okay, so you have that. And then like I guess my question is like your fan base, are they primarily consuming your music live, and is that part of why you sell so many tickets, or like where do they consume your music? Because if you're not getting the Spotify
Well, so
I'm just always perplexed when those things don't.
yeah,
Like they're not mutually exclusive, but also like when they don't line up where they should. Like what's going on?
So I heard this. I had a meeting with. I'm not positive what she was at iTunes, but she was high enough up to get me like Fiji water instead of like some BS like small stuff like a LaCroix. You know, she like brought in options, which makes me feel like she had some pull.
Fiji is the most expensive bottled water.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, and it's the tastiest. Shout out to Fiji if you want to sponsor the podcast. She said something that really made me think a little bit deeper. She says there's musicians who have lean-in listeners and there's musicians who don't. Like there's a lot of passive listeners, specifically in like easy listening music. Like R&B music has overnight just become an easy listening genre because they've realized that in order to get those playlist plays, they've got to be hopping off at Barnes and Noble on some like playlist just going over and over and over
Right.
and over again.
It can't be, the song has to fit within that vibe.
Yeah, it's the reason why metal music will always sell thousands of tickets continuously, right? Because those are lean-in listeners, right? Those are guys that take their headphones into their room and they listen to the entire album top to bottom, they memorize it, and then they go to the show. Whereas there's a grip of
And they probably buy the vinyl too.
they
or
buy the
whatever,
vinyl, they buy the fucking weird ass T-shirt that scares grandma at Easter. They like paint their nails. They do the thing, you know, right?
Yeah.
That's a lean-in listener. And as an artist, like those are the type of listeners I want to have. Like people who will. Dude. A play is a play, but if you can take like a play on Spotify and other things can come of it, and the only tangible thing in my personal opinion, now granted, I think if you're selling records, like selling records and streaming are completely different things.
Yeah.
If you're selling records, then I would connect that to the same thing as a ticket sale. But I've never really sold a lot of records or streamed a lot, but I can sell a ticket, or I did until COVID came and
Don't do it again.
damn it. I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna have a good one. Damn it. You ruined it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just so interesting. The more you try to figure it out, the more you just realize like it's so different for every artist, you know, and everyone's career. And also just because it's one way right now might mean the next record or next tour you do is going to be totally different.
Exactly. The target constantly moves.
Yeah.
Would you rather sell 1,000 tickets in a 1,500 cap room or sell out an 800 cap room?
Sell out an 800 cap room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that a sellout always looks better
Than playing a bigger venue.
Than playing a bigger venue, yeah. And I think now, granted, I'm not a promoter. You could answer this question better, but as an artist, I've always felt like turning people away at the door is better for your perception.
Oh, yeah.
In a market than underselling a room, even if the undersell is higher than the step down.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the venue could be losing money on 1,000 tickets sold in a 1,500 cap room, but they're going to be making money on an 800 sellout.
Exactly. You have to think too, like, and this has only entered my perception in the last probably 5 years. It's not just like what they guarantee they're going to pay you as an artist. It's also the bigger the room, the more security, the more bartenders, the more
higher the rent,
soap they got to use to scrub the floors when they're done. Yeah. So the incurred costs are just bigger, you know. So yeah, I would think. Although like the 1,500 cap room is probably going to have showers, and like rarely is there an 800 cap room across America that cares dick about the artist and like put a shower in, you know. But
well, again, it's just smaller scale and less money.
Exactly.
So it's not necessarily, I would say from a venue owner perspective, it's not necessarily that they don't care dick. It's just that they like maybe don't have the resources to maintain a space that has those kind of amenities.
Yeah, I kind of talked out of my asshole just then. I'm sorry.
Apologize, Alan.
I just farted in your mailbox.
Can we shut this off for a second? We need to talk about this more.
Can I talk to you over here? So you both came to the venue side. Karli, you're a musician, obviously. You're a singer-songwriter. You toured around for a little while as a youngster. That would have been like your early 20s, MySpace days. Do you think, sorry, caveat, do you think that they'll have like a, they used to have like, or they still do, like BC AD, right? Before Christ, after death?
With the pandemic?
Well,
Before
that's
MySpace.
one. But like, do you think it's like, BP, AP?
I don't know.
Like
Social
before,
media, maybe?
before pandemic, after pandemic, or BM, before MySpace, AM, after
I definitely
MySpace?
think MySpace was more pivotal
Pivotable.
Yeah.
than the pandemic.
Whoa.
Dude, I don't know, man.
I
If
don't
this
know
thing,
either.
if this thing doesn't
That's
straighten out in a
debatable.
few months, we are going to be eating saltines. Okay, you got a nice cold brew when you came in, and let me tell
That's
you,
true. Lagunitas is really treating me right.
Okay, so you were a singer-songwriter. You traveled around, toured for many years. As this is always a question I have to any female that tours, and this might come off. I don't want this to sound sexist in any capacity, but I definitely would agree. You could tell me to shut up or not, but a woman's experience touring is probably different than a man's experience, right? How was that experience for you?
I mean, touring, I think I'm a pretty low maintenance, like, woman, I guess. And I, especially during those years, I didn't really shower that often.
Kick ass, man.
So I think that I didn't, and I liked, it was all very DIY for me, which I liked. It made me feel like, I don't know, maybe there was a little level of like arrogance in it that like I can do everything. Like I can be one of the guys or whatever, which could be problematic. But I think, being a female artist is another level of like, there's just things you run into that I don't think guys would ever think about. Like playing a guitar, even just having guitar pedals, like draws so much attention from a certain type of guy. That is just like really annoying.
Oh my God.
What do you mean?
Like after or before shows, like when you're setting up.
Yep.
I mean, like just the way that men talk to you when you have like an electric guitar or an amp or anything, like.
What did that one guy say to you after the show?
Oh my gosh, I've had so many stupid things said to me. I can't even tell you. That was not regarding my technical setup, but he was like, "You're just." It was an older man. It's always older men, but. You're just one sunrise away from coming out of your shell. He said that to me after a show, which was like very much like you just didn't think that was very good, but maybe I could be good in the future or something. I don't know. It was like the weirdest, a lot of backhanded compliments, but like sound guys usually are just like expect you to not know how to use a microphone, expect you to not know how to like, they just lots of mansplaining and lots of
weird.
like.
Well,
yeah.
Well, why would you? So, what is your expectation on what a girl's? It's fine. Experience would be like versus yours, Alan.
Well, I don't know.
Because that's why you asked the question.
Well,
'cause you
when
were
I
like,
first
assume
started
it
playing,
would be
there was
different.
so few. Like it almost was like, and I had a friend even tell me this, which I rolled my eyes. But like there was at that time. I think a benefit to, like, most of the shows I played, I was the only female that would step on stage. So, like, there was a benefit to, like, I could put on a cute dress and, like, stand out. Like, there was an element of that, I think. I don't think it made it easier because then you also just get this, like, insane, like, perspective coming back at you. Like, how could you know how to do anything?
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah, I think, I don't know, we're creatures of very limited capacity to understand the world around us, and so we categorize things
Right.
so that we can understand them, and that we, our brains are worthless, man.
Well, and growing up, I literally had never. Bonnie Raitt was the only musician I had ever been aware of that played guitar, and then Jennifer Knapp. I grew up in a Christian home, so she was
dropping
like
bombs, dude. I haven't heard that name in years.
my absolute hero. I discovered her when I was like maybe junior high, early high school, and it changed my life. I was like, because Bonnie Raitt was like, I knew I was never going to be that kind of like a talent, like she's just the queen. So
She's a queen, yeah.
but Jennifer Knapp was like more accessible to me. It was like she was kind of alternative and played acoustic guitar, and like it was just kind of this level of like, and that's when you talk about representation. It was like this person that I was like, oh, I could play music like that. You know, like it kind of made me feel like music was more accessible. Where prior to that, I was like, only guys play guitars. I really thought that growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how. I've thought about this recently, quite often, is how annoying it must be annoying as a female to have to ward off attention from men. And you just said like the perception of most human beings who would show up prior to the venue being open and help out with like mic cords aren't gonna stretch too hard to like maybe evolve their perception of like your capability, right? I didn't even think about that until you just said it. You know, that you're treated differently as a female on the road, just even by the personnel of a venue.
Totally. And that's honestly sometimes the worst. It's like they should know better. I feel like, you know, like the venue chose to book me as an artist. There should be some level of understanding that I know what I'm doing. But like you come into the space and the sound guy has like the opposite of respect.
Well, and I've even in other areas of the music industry, especially the smaller touring music business, whenever we've had like female sound techs or tour managers come through the space, they tend to be more on guard too when they come in because they just expect that they're just going to get a lot of bullshit from the venue.
Oh, yeah.
itself.
And as an artist, you develop that too. You go into spaces on guard. I mean, you just expect, especially certain age group of men, like over 50, like that they just aren't going to understand. They're not going to automatically believe that you belong there.
Wow. Yeah, that's
We had a guy, it was, and I'm going to say his name because I don't fucking care. The
we
guitar
don't need
player from Television, the band Television, the original guitar player from the band Television came and played the Bartlett. And I was standing out front in the bar. It was like the bar was in the front and the venue's in the back. I was out front in the bar. I was managing the bar at that time. But I was out there with Scotty, Caleb's brother, who was working for us and doing production. And he saunters over. I mean, he's probably in his late 60s, I think. And he was like, oh, you must be the waitress to me. And it was just like, we all just kind of stood there and we were like, and I was like, I'm actually the owner.
Oh, man.
But it was just like the weirdest, but the most typical, you know, like, yeah.
How did he respond to that knowledge? He wasn't embarrassed?
No.
He'd been saying shit like that his whole life.
Yeah.
Probably.
We were on this karaoke tour. Me and Jules did this weird karaoke. We did it at the
Yeah.
Lucky You. That was our first
So
show.
much fun.
That was a rager.
It was super rage. And both Julian and I gained about 45 pounds
Yeah, it was
between the
gross.
both of us on that trip. But what venue we were at? The Cutting Room in New York City?
Yeah, well, we went there.
But do you remember there was... Dude, I'm throwing him bones over here. He's just swatting him
Where
down.
were we
Did
at?
you guys
when we
have a
did that?
fight earlier? Do you need to work some stuff
No,
out?
I don't
or?
think so. Did we? I don't think so.
I'm mad
There
at
was
you.
a waitress at this venue that I forget what I asked her. I asked her something, and I think it kind of came off rude, and I did not intend for it to come off rude
What'd you
in any
say?
capacity. I forget what it was.
Oh,
I said
oh
something
God, yeah, I
like-
remember.
Like over the mic that might have came off in the wrong light, and I had to set a pull her aside and go, look. I kind of feel
Wait,
like
you said something about
what
her
was
from on
that?
stage?
no.
Oh.
Like I think she had asked me something. This is a real great
She'd
story.
asked if you well, she asked if you wanted something else. We don't know the full details of this, so it's stupid to even be talking about. But
Yeah,
you
anyways,
just said
though,
something
I
condescending.
Yeah, I think that
without meaning to.
it wasn't condescending, but it came off condescending, and
Yeah.
her response to it was like, I was glad she actually threw some heat back my way because that let me know, like, oh, what I said potentially is offensive.
Right.
And I had to pull her aside, but I think I'm saying that to in part that I'm overly cautious going into a venue because the last thing I want is I know that like the band that I'm potentially going to tour with is coming through that same venue in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And if I piss off anybody, the busboy,
Yeah.
if I say anything wrong, if I leave like the dressing room in the wrong light, like word travels so quickly in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
That
Well, but
people
also
are,
you don't want to be. I mean, I know you.
No.
And you don't want to be a jerk. Like
You can
that's
get
what
a
the-
reputation instantly,
So
though.
fast.
I adamantly do not want to be mean.
Yeah.
Okay. I do not want to be mean in any capacity, but part of the reason why I don't want to be mean, right, is because it's going to negatively affect me.
Yeah, you're a professional. Yeah.
Yeah, but like in the entertainment industry, it's so easy to not be an asshole.
Well,
Oh,
You know,
so
exactly.
You just like don't.
Right.
If you do, like, it's so easy to be revered as an asshole if you make the wrong moves. But you don't. But it's also on the opposite end, very easy to not make the wrong moves and just be like. All you have to do is be polite, kind, and generous to the people that you
Literally, that's all I would hope for from
Yeah.
bands coming through.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
And then you get bands that just are assholes, and you're just like,
Right.
I'm not going to book you again.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
what's the point of this?
Well, and that's
Right.
kind of the history of rock and roll too, though, isn't it? That like you're kind of supposed to be like that.
Right.
To have
the
this
ego
attitude
just kind of
and like it's
overrides.
historically, you know, you're supposed to trash green rooms and like that's the cool thing to do. That shows that you have power or whatever.
Shows that you're a dickhead.
Right. I
Shows
mean,
you-
now
yeah.
I think I'm glad we've moved out of that. I mean,
Yeah.
because the music industry has literally fallen on its face.
Well, and I just
so
think,
you can't
like,
get away with it.
Nobody in this industry is making enough money to deal with this bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because COVID came along and sneezed in our 7-Up. Anybody?
I'll let you keep going.
That was
with
a
them.
good
That was
one.
pretty good.
I liked that one.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
But yeah, that was how it felt at the Bartlett. It was like, and even at Lucky You, it's just like, we don't have to book you. You know, like it's a small enough club and we get enough like inquiries to fill the calendar. We don't have like there was a pretty well known indie band that played the Bartlett and flipped Caleb off during their set while he was running sound, and we were like, we would never book this band again.
Well,
'cause
and
we
then
don't
they
have to.
proceeded to shake up their bottled beer and spray it all over the monitors. I'm just like,
Why did you do that?
Why you do that?
All right,
you
so here's
do
a question for you guys, for all three of you guys, since you all been artists, but you've also been owners of venues as well. So like,
I haven't
what-
been an owner of a
right. I
venue.
know, but
But you kind of do now with your Live at the Lodge. Like you're
yeah,
I definitely do not own the lodge.
no,
but
you
you're
don't.
inviting people into a space.
But it's another one
and
of
it's-
Dan's buildings that you.
You are responsible
truly.
for
Yeah.
That's
the
true.
situation.
Yeah.
That's true. Go ahead. Sorry.
Are
ask your
are
question,
are
please.
are the artists or the audience typically the people who are causing the most problems?
Good question.
Depends on the genre.
It totally depends on the show.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Is it generalizing to say it's a genre though, or is
Yes.
that
It's
I mean, yes,
easier-
but it's true.
We have
That's
enough
why it's a generalization.
experiences.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then let me add. This is a truth moment.
We're more prepared for the audience though than we are for the
so
bands.
Right.
what genre of music typically is the hardest to deal with?
I guess I don't know if I want to say.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I can tell you what the best ones are.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, honestly-
That's not, well, I don't care. We don't care about that on 60 Minutes here.
No, it's
I
fine. I mean, we don't have
mean,
to sit here and shit on genres
Country
of
is
music.
tough.
and-
Country in this area is
like
really
pop,
tough.
Well-
pop country and
Yeah, less like alternative country or like classic country kind of stuff, but more, yeah, like pop country. It just draws in a kind of entitled crowd that wants certain things and
if you run out of Coors Light,
Oh, dude.
it's over.
riots.
I ran out of Kokanee.
Kokanee.
Last episode of Live at the Lodge, dude, and Steve almost flipped the desk.
Oh man, but yeah, that one, and then sometimes hip hop. Honestly, like it has been. So we've had some difficult shows. Just depends on the artist, but yeah, it can be tough.
But I imagine it's from it's not just subject to one genre either. Like
No, yeah, you're
Alan's
totally
style
right.
of music can have awful
No.
people. No,
No,
none
it's
of
so
them.
feel good. Honestly, it's like
Not
really
specifically Alan's.
right. No,
people.
but like more like the more feel good the music. Sometimes
yeah,
it just like
it's the better
yeah,
turnout
people are
of
in just
people
in a great
who are
mood
happy.
and
I don't know. I would say that those like the shows with like the young hipster indie band that gives off the just like, I don't care about anything. We're singing about partying.
Oh,
and
one
all
of our
that.
worst shows at the Bartlett was, what's that band? They're kind of like lo-fi, 2-piece. Remember, I had to like kick people out.
The
of
White
that show.
Stripes.
No, more
Yeah,
low
who
key.
was that? It didn't make sense for the sound of the
Yeah, it
music
was like
at all.
it's such a sleepy. It's like bedroom pop, and it's so sleepy and like mellow, and it drew the worst audience. So I guess what I just said is not true about genre.
But
But again, we're prepared for the crowd to be like that. You
Right.
know?
But
like
are-
we have security, we have these things in place, we have rules around it where it's like if they do this, they're out or whatever.
can you typically expect that the genre and the artist will be one and the same?
Not necessarily. No.
What was have you ever had a contrast? Like the coolest band that just, I've met a lot of musicians who the persona that is just out in the world
Right.
is so corny or so mean or so fratty or so, like, you name it. You would think that this person is like super lame, and you meet
Oh,
them and they
yeah.
are the gentlest, like
Right.
People typically
coolest.
think that about
Together
me.
Pangea.
Yes.
Sorry?
that-
Together
that
Pangea.
band.
They're like they're a burger band out of LA. Like all their songs are about like sex and drugs and like
just
just
partying and
what is one of I mean, they're very, very like obscene lyrics, you know, just like kind of they push the boundaries.
Do you think you could give us one of those lyrics, Carly? Maybe just give
what
us
was that
an
one
idea of
song?
what we're dealing with here.
A lot of songs about like being too drunk to fuck. Like that kind of stuff.
Whiskey dick.
Yeah.
I got my whiskey dick. Ding, ding, wow. That's country.
It was like
I got the
like
opposite problem.
the garage rock version of that kind of music.
Okay. Super cool, but
Guys
they're
were just the sweetest.
Sweetest.
Most gentle, like we're just kind of homesick and like bummed out, and like these teenage girls would not leave them alone. And the one guy was like, "I just really
he
miss
just
my
missed
cat."
his cat.
No.
I was like, but their music
It's
is like so
genuine dudes,
like
yeah.
they party every night, kind
That's
of a vibe.
interesting.
But
do they
like,
party
they were just,
every night?
Well, not that night.
They were missing
They
their
were
cat,
just,
dude. They were
like,
just like
kinda
looking at cat
bummed,
pictures on
yeah.
their iPhones, just scrolling.
But that was one of the things that I always remember that as far as contrast of what you imagine people being like.
That's so interesting. Do you, Steve and Alan? Do you guys see a lot of audience members at your shows who are assholes and kind of rambunctious beyond like a level of like Steve? You were a bouncer for a long time, and so you know who you're looking for when people are kind of getting crazy. Did you see those types of people at your guys' shows? You'd probably be seeing them more than Alan would, but
I don't watch Alan's shows. I'm in the green room.
drinking Runas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's eating all my white cheddar Cheez-Its.
Do you guys have rowdy crowds ever? I've been to a lot of your shows, and I've
talking to me?
I've been like the rowdiest guy at your show.
Yeah, bro,
for a
you're
lot of years.
you're absurd.
Out
Sometimes
of control.
yeah, I am out of control.
Several times at my shows, I've like been
Had to acknowledge.
mid-song embarrassed by my friends in the audience, especially you and Styles. Like
That's
when you
so not surprising.
when
to
you
me.
were
Yeah,
when you were
we used to get
drinking,
so
I would be
hard.
in the middle of the show, just like trying to stare you down and just shake you off. Like,
Yeah.
stop doing what you're doing.
Oh my
what you're
God.
doing is really not.
It was-
because you would see the people around them, right?
Yeah.
Because I get a bird's eye view
Yeah.
of at least people that are 2 people away from you, which you can't see,
Totally.
and they are so irritated. Not anymore,
no,
but like
well,
there were
yeah, no.
points in my probably like in our early 20s, 23, 24, we'd be playing the Crocodile or something. I'd look out in the audience and Styles Bentley was just going ham, and I would be like visually embarrassed.
Like people could tell you, they're like, "What's going on with Alan up there? Like he seems bothered."
I mean, luckily nobody knew that I knew him.
Right.
But yeah, I'd just be like, bro, you gotta cool it.
It's just too hard to get to that place in your shows now, because it used to be where you would have 200 people at a concert, and we would push we would be there first because we would load in with you, and then we'd be there and we'd just be so stoked, and we would just be so drunk and high and just getting after it so hard. And Alan would just be like, dude, I'm trying to make a good impression here on the keys. And we were just going so hard. And so
funny.
As you evolved, obviously the crowds got bigger, and it became harder and harder to like get our way into there. And it was just like, I remember like doing it, like pushing people, like, because I felt like this sense of entitlement to like.
And you're also like, why aren't you guys partying?
Yeah, why aren't you guys dancing hard? Why aren't you guys like raging and sweating as hard as I am? Like, this is crazy. Come on, let me set this example.
They only like my slow tunes.
And I noticed that people would, totally. And I would notice people would be like, but not like aggressively, like tell me anything. They'd just be
yeah, I think,
like, get off.
I love concert etiquette.
I would think, Steve, and you can touch on this as well. I would imagine that the audiences that come to at least my headline shows are very considerate, very kind. I've only had one fight ever break out
between yourself and an audience member.
No. In DC one time, a fight broke out. Did I stop the show in the middle of the show, Steve?
You just called them out. Basically, we're just like, hey guys, you settled it down.
Oh.
No, but something happened. Something happened on this last tour where I stopped the music. Oh, I remember. Sorry, somebody got engaged mid song, and I saw it happening, and I was like, we gotta stop.
Yeah.
Now, granted, all they wanted was to get engaged to that song.
Yeah, you stopped
and you stopped it.
And I stopped it. But it was in Orlando. It was so awesome. This young couple got engaged in the middle of this song, "Consider Me," and it was, and I could see it bird's eye view, and
that's so sweet.
That was a common thread. We had like 5 or 6.
You just start changing the
on that
lyrics
tour.
while you're playing it.
I did, yeah. I put
Wait, you really had
their
5 or
names in the
6
tune.
people get engaged at shows?
Yeah, not like at the same time, like different shows.
Yeah.
You're not just looking around like,
You're engaged. You're engaged.
The newest-
You're engaged.
Dude,
The
some
newest
people-
version of Flash Mob is just Engagement Mob. It's just like there's a Facebook invite group where you guys want to just go engage Mob, the baby show.
You set yourself up. You set
Got
yourself
Karli.
up.
Got her.
You set yourself up for that
That's good.
by writing that song, because even when we went and did the karaoke tour, that was a promotional building balance tour for his album, and "Consider Me" was one of the songs that he sang on that. And there was the sweetest boy that reached out to us and was like, "I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to like propose." And man, he like really went so in to try and like arrange it with us. Just like, dude, of course, for sure. And it was like a
and Al's just like,
karaoke party.
I'm just not
We're
into
just-
that energy.
Dude,
Hey, why didn't you propose to me at an Alan Stone concert?
Maybe you still can.
He's not a fan.
Second chances.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Yeah, you're not a fan of Alan's music.
I was like, he's not popular enough for me.
I need Dave Matthews.
Yeah, he doesn't sing about pills enough. God, what was the question I was going to ask? Yeah, have you guys ever experienced that? People getting engaged on stage at any of your shows?
No.
I think it happened one time at the Bartlett. Oh, wait, as musicians?
Or either,
at
just
the
any
venue?
situation, because it literally
Did it
every
happen at
day I get a DM about somebody wanting to propose on my stage.
What do you have to say to those people right now who are going to listen?
Leave me alone! No. No. It's like
It's really sweet.
It can work. It can.
Can you sing at my wedding?
Seriously, every day there's at least 5 or 6. Can you sing? Can you show up to my wedding and sing?
How much would you charge for that?
You? Nothing.
I'm already married.
If you got remarried, nothing. I'd come
Cute.
to Rage.
Thank you.
You guys came all the way to Australia for my
Give the
wedding.
figure. Give the figure for a rando.
I will officiate it and sing
Ooh, let's get remarried.
Okay, we're doing it.
And I will also
Can I
provide a dowry
Yep.
of
Yes.
half a honeysuckle lamb.
Ooh, damn.
Steve knows what I'm talking about.
Shit.
For a random person, $100,000.
Yeah.
$1,000.
100,000. Scout's honor, dude. No problem.
Easy.
Do you know how odd it is to be at somebody's wedding that you don't know?
Yeah, it's
Do you
weird.
know how odd that is?
I've done it before.
Oh, it's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
You've done it before. I've been there.
Do you know what a green room at a wedding looks like?
We played this.
Oh my gosh, we
We
just
played this
about
event
weekend.
in Sandpoint this weekend. It was like a really fancy dinner.
There's no
Like,
COVID restrictions.
people
in Idaho.
people pay like
Oh, I know.
$750 like a seat to be at this dinner.
Wow.
And we were just like background music, like playing as quiet as possible. And then it was like, we were like, so do you guys have a place where we can like hang out when we're not playing? They were like, oh, there's like a spot over by this building you can stand.
Seriously.
Hey,
then it
my
was
cousin's
also-
got a Toyota Highlander.
It was like a 5-course dinner, and we kind of expected that there would be food for us because we had to be there for like 7 hours.
Wow.
And they were like, there will be a charcuterie plate, but it was for the entire wait staff also.
This was this weekend?
And then the people from the organization kept moving it around away from us. Like we would have to go find it again because we were so hungry.
Now, let me ask you this. Are these types of gigs
Who's
ones
eating
that
all the deviled eggs?
Are these types of gigs ones that build character for you? You just over them and hate them. And
We
they're just
were-
like, we're above
you know
this.
what?
We don't
It
need
was
this.
It's not,
like-
you don't even hate it anymore. It just is
It was
exactly what it
funny,
is.
Yeah.
And we got paid
And
not
you walk away, you're like,
$100,000, but
Made some money.
we also were just hanging out with our friends this weekend, and so it kind of
It was
just-
actually fine.
It
The
was
mo-
really fun.
the gigs where you get paid the most typically are the worst ones.
Yeah, they're
in
like
every
corporate
level.
gigs or something like
In
that.
every level of touring,
Right.
the best shows are the ones where you make no money.
Yep.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, same in the
and
acting
the worst shows are the ones where you get paid up the yin yang,
Yin yang.
and it's worth it.
Yeah.
And if you want me to
Worst-
come play your wedding, that's great. I'd love to do
$100,000.
it. It's gonna be at least a Jaguar. You have to buy me and Steve a Jaguar, and we'll
What about
come.
me, dude?
And
Because they're like, so I listened through your entire catalog and I made you a set list that times out perfectly for this event. So if you could stick to the schedule.
which is no, honestly, listen, it's fine if I say yes to a gig and you've booked me.
Yeah.
Then I'll do whatever you want for sure. Yeah, I say that in part because it's tough. A lot of people ask me, I want to ask my girl on your stage
Right.
to get married, and like it's man, if it works, it's really a great moment in the
Totally.
show. But it's such a cliffhanger because
Right.
like I can't
What if she
ask
says
her.
no?
I can't ask her. I have.
Yeah.
You should see the threads where I'm like, I make him send me pictures of the two of them.
That it's not like a weird
her
prank
engagement
or something.
ring. Yeah, like it could be the third date. And I'm setting up this poor girl to be embarrassed in front of 1,000 people because she's like, "Look, dude, you don't even have my Netflix password yet. I'm not gonna marry you." So that's just like the whole wedding love thing it's an interesting universe.
Well,
that-
and then it also takes effort for you to make sure it works and like make sure that it's real. And then if it isn't, it's time
and then
that
it's also
you really don't have to
oh my
be
God.
spending.
And then it's so much effort for my good friend Mr. Steve Libby to like find the people and make sure they're at the side.
Do you do follow-ups like a year later? Like, how you guys
Are
doing?
you still married?
Now
Bring
there
him on
are
the
a few.
podcast.
There are a few people. We have some close friends that got engaged at one of our Troubadour shows. They're like I'm like proper homies with them. They come up to Stone Family Field Trip, and
That's awesome.
they're great. We see them all the time. But yeah, I don't know. Like I might just be past the point of allowing people to get engaged on stage. We had we had it's just I don't. It's tough.
I'm using all Alan's social media accounts now, so I'm going to go in there and tell everybody that I'm coming myself, pulling my freaking jeans off and getting butt-ass naked and getting up on stage and ripping it off.
Ripping it off. Great.
Watch
I see
out.
nothing wrong with this.
I don't see anything wrong with that either.
Yeah.
You know, I've been talking, some people just like say something nice to Alan on the Instagram, and I've responded myself a couple times because I don't know if he will or won't. He might.
I barely check.
But I
my
just
Instagram.
say, I just like give a heart.
You just bursted so many bubbles out there, man.
Yeah, dude, you ruined so
It's still a
much.
special. It's still,
Wow.
It's still as
So
special.
all those DMs I've been sending Alan.
yeah.
Well, actually,
People are
last
so
week you
thrilled,
were
man.
texting me as him.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
So-
right.
You
Yeah,
committed
it's
to my
what-
wedding.
What we're realizing is that Alan just doesn't do anything. I'm just speaking on behalf of him from here on out. So if you text Alan, if you get a hold of him via DM,
You'll never really know if it's him or not.
It's gonna be me.
I just
great.
sent a text as Alan, literally.
What's that?
I just sent a text to Brittany.
Oh, great, dude. Sorry, Britt. Yeah, I think I was supposed to have a call right now. Sorry, dude. Yeah, I had another question that sort of just left the tip of my tongue.
When did you guys wind up getting married? How did this all happen for you guys? Through, like you said, you booked her through MySpace, and then
Yep.
you were all hot and jazzed
Yep.
about her playing.
Hot and
Also
jazzed.
cute, but you had a girlfriend. What went down there? How did you guys connect and
Should we
decide
tell
to
the
make
story
it?
of my first show at the
Are
Red
you a
Room?
home
Yeah.
wrecker?
No, we were on our way out.
She was very offended by that question. That was a joke, Carl.
I mean,
Whoa, was
So you were.
Was there something there
So y'all's
that-
sorry. So Caleb, your relationship with the lady you were seeing at the time, it was kind of on the way out. Carly.
well, no, it wasn't. It was like I first played. He booked me through MySpace to play at the Red Room, which was the venue, and he was still in California. He had like come and got it set up and then went back, and so I showed up with some friends that I was on tour with, and his sister was running sound, and another guy.
Shout out to Randy.
Randy. What's
Good
up,
old Randy.
Rand?
Shout out.
Randy.
And then this other guy was like running lights, and I had played some shows in Tri-Cities, like at this other more DIY space, and this
This was a
particular-
very DIY space.
This was, but when you went into it was like when
mean,
I
we
say
had casino
DIY
carpet.
space, I think I'm talking like house show vibe. This was like a big room with like a real sound system. You know, it was like it was DIY, but it was like there was some money there. That's all I'm saying. Do you disagree?
I was just making a joke.
Oh.
Okay, so
Anyway, so I show up at the show. We play the show. Like maybe 10 people are there. It was like a terrible turnout, and it was just weird. It was really weird. And I'm playing by myself, just acoustic guitar. My music was like a little bit sad, and halfway through my set, or like one song in, these like mover lights start going, and then the sound. I'm like playing pretty quiet. The fog machine gets turned on, and like these mover lights are going in this room, this like nearly empty room where like this person's playing very quiet music. And I was like, I like looked out at my friends that were like sitting in the audience, and we all just kind of were like, oh my gosh, what's
I'm surprised the
happening?
fire alarm didn't go off.
oh my god, dude! In the words of our incredible lighting tech, Mr. Carter Dab Adams, when in doubt, fog.
Yes, dude.
I don't know. In this particular situation, I would have not. But anyway, so that was my first impression of like what Caleb was all about, even though that was very much not.
Just
Which is
tossing
what?
fog,
Just like,
dude.
I mean, it's just kind of like a.
He wasn't there, and so then I ended up coming back. I was like, okay, I'll give it another chance, even though that
Yeah,
was
why
one of
did
the
you give it
weirdest
another
shows.
chance?
Because I was like, at that point, you were just trying to connect dates, you know, like you're just trying to fill up that
Sure,
calendar
yeah,
on
yeah.
MySpace. So it was like
Yeah.
and you guys had great salsa. The hospitality.
That is true. We had this
the
lady.
hospitality was perfect. It was amazing.
She would make home cooked meals for every band that would come through.
It was so good.
Oh my god, dude!
Bonkers.
Honestly, like the greatest thing about any church community is that there's always some incredible cook in the community that
Yeah.
will just be like, yeah, I'll just cook 45 meals this
Seriously,
week
and
just
Caleb's,
give all the food
Caleb's
away.
dad's church has always been like that. Still is. Like the hospitality is incredible. So I was like, well, I'll come back because it'll be like an awesome free meal for my band. And so I came back, and that was the first time I met him. I can't remember what show it was, but I was.
Was that the one with Kaylee?
Yeah, probably, or Brianna. Anyway, I met Caleb and his girlfriend that night, and I was like, oh, they're so cool, you know, like they're doing this thing in Tri-Cities, like very brave to try to do a venue here where there's not a lot of music community happening and
Or people that care?
about music.
There is a Chipotle though.
There
Now
is
there
now,
is.
yeah.
There wasn't
It's a
then.
big deal.
But then it wasn't until a year later I got a Facebook message from Caleb. And he was like, hey, I want to come to your show. I was opening for Damien Gerardo in Spokane that weekend. And he was like, I want to come to your show. Do you know anybody I could stay with? And I was like, oh, yeah, I can just stay with my parents. Because I was living at home with my parents and we had a guest room. I really didn't think
That was
anything of
easy.
it. It was, yeah, it was just like,
But your invitation for him to come stay at your parents' house, like that's pretty big, right?
no, I mean,
At that point?
at that point, I still thought he had a girlfriend. I really thought I was like, oh, it's this my friend from Tri-Cities that wants to get out and like see another venue. I was like, great, I'll be your host. Like, I love hosting people in Spokane. And 5 minutes in, he shows up at Empyrean and we're talking. And I'm like, how's Katie? And he was like, we broke up. And I was like, immediately in my mind, I was like, oh, there's going to be something between us. It was like instant.
Would you have wanted that prior to knowing about his girlfriend and him?
No, I hadn't thought of it, and that's totally my personality. I was like off the table.
Yeah, and
I was like, he's very like when I first met him, he had a great beard. He's wearing like this cute flannel shirt. I was like, he's very good looking, but I would never think it past that.
Yeah, Caleb.
Wow.
Now, Caleb, as most men typically tried to avoid meeting the parents until several years into a relationship, how did it feel meeting them on the first night?
I not only met her parents, but her grandpa.
And my brother and all my
Was your grandma
roommates.
there too?
My grandma and my grandpa were there.
So it was a whole
Which
experience.
is funny because my family doesn't like come out to 100% of the shows I play. Like sometimes they'll come, you know?
When you're opening for Damien Gerardo, they come, you know what I'm saying?
They don't know who that is.
Dude, my family, I love it. If I'm doing something cool, my family gonna be there.
Yeah.
But if I'm playing the Empyrean,
Nope.
like, I'm sorry, something came up. No, I'm throwing them under the bus. They're super supportive. But yeah, you're opening for Damien Gerardo, I'm sure. Where was Damien playing in town?
It was at Empyrean.
It was at Empyrean.
What?
It was a great show.
The Empyrean?
And so I'm sitting
Wow.
there. Carly's grandpa walks in. She introduces me.
I didn't even introduce you. Nothing was said. He like came up to you.
Up to me, and he just
Goes
goes,
in for the handshake.
I know who you are. I was like, I don't even know who I am.
And I
Do tell.
and I hadn't even like told my parents like a friend was gonna stay with us or anything. No one even knew that he.
I don't even know.
It was so weird.
I really liked your grandpa impression too there, Caleb, because it was subtle enough of the, I know who you are. It was enough of that, but it was also enough of Caleb. That was a very good impression. I'm flattered.
Thank you.
Okay, so you met the entire lineage of Carly's descendants
Yep.
on the first night.
My ancestors. I guess I don't have any descendants
You
yet.
got your ancestors.
And you knew within that first 5 minutes that you were like, all right, cool.
I just knew
can see that
something.
there's
I
something
was
here with
like,
this guy.
oh my gosh. I don't know. It was like everything flashed before my eyes. I was like, we're perfect for each other.
Same thing in your mind, Caleb?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, we had so much fun that one night. Like
We
that
did.
first night we hung out. Like
We did all the Spokane stuff.
my brother's band was playing at Zola. I took him to the Baby Bar. Like
What year
we
was
went to
this?
all the spots.
Sorry.
2009.
2009.
Probably.
Okay. Cool.
Nobody knows for sure.
Nobody knows.
I think it was the end of 2008.
and
It was a leap year.
and just one thing led to the next, and it just kind
We
of
started
happened.
dating
Yeah,
after
pretty
that,
much.
and then I almost broke up with him. But then we
I was kind
stuck
of
it out.
depressed in
Yeah,
Tri-Cities.
he was going through a hard time.
You guys were doing like a long distance Tri-Cities Spokane thing.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
when
it's-
did you come up to Spokane, Cabe?
I moved here in February of 2010, and then we got married that summer.
Okay, and so you came up here to have the to have the relationship work out. Like that was the move.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. But you have family in town now, don't you? Isn't it
Yeah,
good?
my brother and sister-in-law are here.
Okay, and they moved up because of you as well.
Yeah, I mean they were living in California, and they had just had their first son, and they wanted to move up to the Northwest to be closer to family. So because we were in Spokane, they wanted to come help with the Bartlett too, and
A lot of folk from California moving up here. I've been meeting a lot of California folk being like, "We out,
Yeah.
yep.
we out." We welcome all different types of Californians over here in the Pacific Northwest. If you are a Californian and you do not like the tax rate, move to Idaho because Washington's isn't much better.
It's so true. That's funny.
So, what's been the most difficult evolution going from a 200 or 150 or whatever the cap room was? For all the listeners at home, when I say cap, that means how many people you can fit in the room. Going from the Bartlett, which was like 100 cap,
150.
150 cap, to now moving to a restaurant slash, I would call it 400 people. Depends on the person, but
Sure.
you could, I think, squeeze 400 people in there. What's been the weirdest, most challenging evolution in trying to figure that whole growth period out?
I think it honestly was there was a lot of relief to it because at the Bartlett, we were always at capacity. I mean, not always, but like we were in this weird middle zone where we weren't small enough to do like really small shows, but we weren't, most of our like more well-known acts were selling out in advance. And so once we moved up to the bigger spot, it was like, oh my gosh, we can sell 300 tickets, which like was such a relief. And it not be like too crowded because we also have the fire department rated our capacity lower than it could actually be just based on the fact that we have limited bathrooms. So we could fit a lot more people in the building if we
Oh, that's weird.
had that. But so I think for me, I mean, I don't know, you could say just on the music promotion side, it was just like, it's nice because with the Bartlett, a lot of people would be like, well, I just didn't know if it would be sold out or not, so I didn't come down. Like we got that a lot.
Oh, wow.
And so with Lucky You, it's nice because like that's not happening as much. And so I think it's just like people just know there's going to be space for them.
We get a lot more people at Lucky You just like, what's going on Friday night? I'll just go down and check it out. Where at the Bartlett, we never got that.
Yeah.
The Bartlett was so much more like, I got my ticket, I'm going to see this artist. And so, yeah, the Lucky You has more of like a nightclub kind of environment.
Rad.
And we have so much more going on. I mean, you can get a great meal, you can see a great band, you can go in the basement and dance to a DJ, so there's just more to offer.
Right. You could go and see a band or a DJ prior to COVID fingering our French onion soup.
Oh, right.
Anybody?
And now,
That was good. I like
all
the
doomed.
alliterations you're working with.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Wait,
much.
what's it fingering?
My French onion soup. Right through the cheese, dude. The best part of the French onion soup, just like boom, hole right in the top of
Rude.
the cheese layer.
Gonna hurt
Rude.
yourself. It's too hot.
The one thing I haven't liked about Lucky You is that it misses that intimacy that the Bartlett had. But that since we've built that wall, it'll be interesting to see once we get events going again if it'll be more like that.
Yeah, I can't wait to get in there and check out the space since Caleb's been flexing on it. I've heard that you guys have
Big time flexing.
You guys have an impeccable beanbag toss game in the old patty section. Is this the truth?
Let's go play.
Not
No.
yet.
You don't?
We will have bocce
Bocce ball.
Oh, bocce ball.
But
my
not
fault.
till next summer.
Next summer, there's no games allowed. No games.
There is no games
No
allowed
games.
playing out on the patio and stuff.
No.
If you're playing any kind of game, like even like
I don't think they're allowing pool right now
no
in
pool.
Washington.
So are you guys like making decisions, or are you just kind of following policies? Like what for your business? Like
We're
do you,
following the rules because
yeah.
you can you'll just get
right,
shut down.
right. But are there even decisions to be made, or are you kind of just like trying to survive and keep the restaurant open? At
Yes.
This time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. God.
I mean, it's
so
a
you
s-
don't really have like ideas put in
faster
place for
death.
like, what you do
Nope.
moving forward.
Right. Like it's kind of a slow death to operate at limited capacity. Like we're going to give it all we have, but it would be a quicker death to just close altogether and try to pay bills from no revenue.
Right.
So
What would be the biggest help just to get more bodies in that place and eat food and
well, that would be
Yes.
Yeah.
great. But also there's a whole bunch of advocacy and fund raising efforts happening for venues. So NIVA, National Independent Venue Association, is lobbying for Senate to pass a bill. Chuck Schumer's actually behind it. Amy Klobuchar, to give specific funding for venues under 1,000 cap around the country. So basically, like independent venues, because a lot of venues over 1,000 are owned by corporate
Right.
entities.
Live Nation.
Live Nation.
So that's pretty cool. We've been somewhat involved in that. And then we're also a part of a regional effort that was started by WANMA, which is a Washington nightlife kind of advocacy group. And then they've started another group, which I'm a part of, called Keep Music Live, that will be doing a big, like massive fundraiser, like public fundraiser, like ask all your friends for $5, plus like going to like Microsoft and Amazon and like bigger corporations to try to raise money to save essentially Washington's small music scene. So I'm hopeful that over the next 6 to 8 months, we'll have some relief funding coming in.
For anybody listening or anybody within the community of the greater Northwest, what is the most tangible, currently possible way that they personally can support you guys or venues of your size, specifically you guys? That's what.
Yeah, I mean specifically us. Obviously, if you're in town, just like ordering takeout if you're not comfortable coming in, but just like coming in and hanging out, getting a drink, having some food.
I did it yesterday.
Yeah.
So good. It's such good food.
Yeah, it's quality food, man. Really like the dumplings.
So good.
I hadn't had that spicy chicken sandy yet, and it was pleasant.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It was a great chicken sandwich. Well,
Other
where can
ways?
people find you?
LuckyYouLounge.com, Facebook.com/LuckyYouLounge.
We're on Instagram.
I'm at my house a lot.
Caleb has a really great Instagram feed. His personal Instagram is C Ingersol.
Give it a follow.
Yeah,
You probably
it's, like,
won't stick around for
really
too long,
stuff.
but
He just did his first reel the
Give
other
it a
day,
shot.
guys.
First reel of what?
Instagram has reels now.
Oh yeah, what does that mean? What does that do?
It's like them trying to compete with TikTok.
yeah, you
so
can
it's
like take a video of stuff and then post it.
Well, what is that? What's the difference?
So you could like piece videos together, kind of like Vine,
Yeah, but
you
Vine.
remember
Yeah, I
Vine?
remember Vine, but Vine wasn't piecing videos together.
No,
It's just like it was just.
But
a
you can
7-second
start it and
video.
stop it. Where with
I don't
Instagram,
think anybody
you can't do
really
that.
knows what reels are for, but they're there now.
Yeah.
What did you do for yours?
Caleb made one. So.
I made one.
How did it look?
You'll have to go look at
Oh, it
it.
was great.
I will,
it was
definitely.
It was me, just like it was kind of a moment. Like I was having a moment, and I was expressing that moment through the art of film.
I like this. Oh my god, dude!
I'm gonna watch it for sure. I'm gonna definitely go give you a follow and watch
For
all of your stuff.
our friends at home, that has been our interview with JJ Abrams. Thank you for being on the podcast today. You guys, thank you so much for being on the podcast,
Yeah.
for cluing us into what your world is like currently. Thanks for being community leaders in this little portion of America, and come back. Yeah,
Sure.
Okay,
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
like next Monday or
next Monday or the following.
okay, great.
Cool.
Yeah, we got some
You gotta
things to
drink all the
move.
tequila too, man.
Yeah.
Before you leave
Yeah,
today.
We're gonna have one little nip. Thank you guys so
Yeah,
much.
Thanks,
course.
guys.
We love
Thanks
you.
for having
Appreciate it.
us.
Love you too.
Right on. Oh, Boo Boo, did you just make it to the end of the video? Yes, you did. Do you want to see more videos just like this one? Do you?
Well, then head over to patreon.com/live at the lodge, where you can support the How Good's of this podcast, as well as the entire Live at the Lodge family.
Yep. Yeah, you're going to get exclusive merch, personalized shout-out videos. Me and Jules, we're going to show up at your house and baptize your nephew, huh? Check it out, patreon.com/live at the lodge.